are filming our first kitchen to kitchen show in East Berkshire. We've asked many times for you folks to call us up and invite us into your kitchens, into your homes, so that we can learn from you. We can enjoy what you cook, what you enjoy in your very own homes, in your very own cultures. And in East Berkshire, we have our own way of doing things. So as no one has called us to have us infiltrate their home since the Black Lantern, we'll do it here. And we've got an interesting menu on the lineup tonight. I am not a certified chef, as some of you might know, like anybody who's eaten at my home might know, but I was raised. Oh my God, thank God I'm not a surgeon. Oh God. Anyway, how do they do that? That makes it look so debonair on TV. There, one down, one to go. Never let your left hand know what your right hand's doing. Anyway, we're going to film how to cook roadkill today because it's been a great season for roadkill. Today alone, biking up Route 108 in Bakersfield, I came across 5 things that were quite edible, quite palatable, and quite easy to get onto my bicycle. Get a little dépanier back there, and I just load it up into a plastic bag, and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to take you on a little tour of what will be on the menu this evening. I'll just walk you through it a little bit, and then we can start to cook. As you can see, I'm a very organized cook. I figured before I introduce you to the food, I'd better put something down on my table to act as a receptacle for their little carcasses. It works for me, which is why I want all of you to know that I got kicked out of home economics in 8th grade. I couldn't stand it. I was already cooking a lot at home, and I couldn't stand the fact that they wanted us to make muffins and all that useless little stuff. So I'll hold them up against a backdrop, and we'll see a little of what we're going to be cooking this evening. This would be 2 birdies, a bird in the plate. A bird on the plate is worth 2 in the bush, but we've got 2 on a plate, so we're batting 1,000, and we're going to prepare those a little bit. The magic of film, we've already prepared one, feathered and stuffed and got ready to cook, but this is what they look like before we did all that. And we have a very good recipe for you folks to write down at home. If we don't get a chance to put it up on the screen, write these recipes down. Very practical. And here we have something very cute, a marinated bat. Been marinating all day. I found him on 108 this morning. I'm sure he didn't feel a thing. And there are many ways to get these little rodents, of course, but I think the best way to get them is to head on our bike ride. Did you all get the wingspan of that? Now this is a wonderful, they make wonderful canapes, wonderful hors d'oeuvres. They're not very good as a main course because it's really hard to get enough bats to make a real meal. And here we have something that we're going to make into a Chinese dish. Here we go. These are moles, and we're going to have wok and mole. We're going to cook these up in a wok with some stir fry and have a jolly good time. And these are also very good on crackers with a little bit of Velveeta, but as this evening is short in time, my cameraman doesn't seem to be very... Are you feeling all right, Christine? Okay. They also make lovely earrings, but we'll eat them tonight. Here we go. Here, belly up. They're so cute. Okay, and over here we have another thing. These seem to be come in pairs. I feel like Noah on the ark here, but because these are very meaty and very wonderful, we're going to do 2 separate recipes using each of these squirrels. This would be your red squirrel. Eat all your electrical stuff in your house if you so desire. And you notice that this one isn't particularly in them, doesn't exactly look like roadkill, does it? It's a nice, meaty, a lot of flesh on its bones, good hide. Everything seems to be in good order there. This one, of course, is sort of stuck in the fetal position, chasing its tail, as it were, and so we'll probably cook him a different way. He might be just perfect for the blender. We don't know. He looks like he's already on a whirl anyway. All right, and here we have 2 other things. These are marinating. They've been marinating all day, so we're going to leave them in the marinade. It's another squirrel, but as you can see, if you marinate them, they do become quite supple. You can do a lot with a marinated squirrel. Wait, the faces that here we go. You know, Rocky's got nothing on this one. Anyway, see, wouldn't that be nice? Just squirrel on a spit or something like that. Well, he's going to go into a stew because he might be tender enough for steak, but we're not sure. And this is a perfect example of roadkill. far too flat to be anything more than something that can be thrown in as just something, or eat it on a toothpick, but nothing really that you can do much with in the way of steak or chops or whatever. If you come up with any ideas, you call the station, 527-6474. And this is a good example of roadkill. This one's kind of a been there, done that animal. We're not going to get any use out of this one at all, but I wanted to give you an example of, if you find them like this is not what you bring home. I mean, it's good to hang up on the wall. If you didn't get a bear or deer this year, you can use that as a trophy, but other than that, it's not really good for cooking because there's nothing left. And this one was kind of cute. I found this today on the way to, almost right in Bakersfield, and I thought, well, he lost his head or something like that, but it's a really nice piece of tail with little feet. I hear that's quite common in Franklin County, but I think it's great. So we can make sandwiches out of that because squirrel tail sandwiches are quite a delicacy in Indonesia. And as our Indonesian viewers, most of you will love to see. Anyway, there are other ways to get wonderful fare like this besides running it over. And I'm going to give you a few examples of exactly how I've managed to do it over the years. Because, sometimes you crave and you can't go out on your bike. This is poison. And this is the only thing that I'll recommend you do not use because it stays within the body of the animal. And if you eat it after they die, in other words, if you're poisoning rodents in your house, don't eat them. That's the only precautionary note I can give you. But everything else is fair game. Now, this gets them. If any of you are not a member of the NRA, or you should be, because this is an absolutely terrific little gun, and it can pop them right out of a tree. They land right at your feet, and there's only one pellet to go hunting for, which is very, very helpful. So when you're digging out a pellet, you're not going to break your teeth on that. Another way is to euthanize them. If you catch them slumbering, and did anyone here see One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? Well, one shot of oxygen or one shot of air into their little veins, and they just stroke out. They don't have a problem. I'll use this later on in the show as part of the tenderizing part, the tenderizer, or to desiccate them. I mean, if you don't want the head and you don't want the tail, I don't go along with any kind of serrated knife because they're tough little rascals, and just a quick chop. That works for me. Does it work for you, Christine? This, very nice. I mean, if you don't want to clean them in any way, what you do is you put them that away and you roll down towards the tail very firmly and quickly, and everything seems to just go in the right direction, and then you're left with a steak. I didn't have to do that to any of these actually because they just came to me quite well prepared. I'd like to give you a store to get these, but they're not very well stocked. So I guess we want to start cooking. What do you think we should do first? We've got the weapons of mass destruction out of the way. Why don't you press George Bush's doll over there? Weapons of mass destruction.
We cannot let terrorists and rogue nations hold this nation hostile or hold our allies hostile.
Right. Well, anyway, George can help me with this cooking because he's cooked up a big mess anyway. Anyway, this is my little Dean button. If the economy wasn't in such bad shape, the people in East Berkshire wouldn't have to be eating this. Okay. $36 for a sheet of plywood these days because we're sending the plywood over to rebuild Iraq. And there's not too much good to be said about that. Anyway, that's not why I'm here. I'm here to cook. Let's start with the blender. Everybody should have one of these in their home. Do you all have one? I'm sure you do. Christine, do you have a blender? Okay. Now, it's not often that this is O'Doul's. It's a non-alcoholic, refreshing drink. I've never tasted it, but it really works well in a blender. It's got a lot of activity in there, and it's supposed to be pretty healthy too. So you just, it's hard to measure with the froth, but that's good. This is kind of like a float. That's just a little bit. You can use any kind of seltzer water. All right, they say your seltzer water and O'Doul's mixed together. It's just really a nice thing to do. And then you pick up whatever little varmint you think will work well in a blender. Christine, which one would you like? Because you're going to be tasting this later.
Red squirrel.
Red squirrel in the blender. Red squirrel in the blender. Okay, well, and remember when we did that show when we cooked the trout, when we had trout and kraut? We lost the top to the blender that night. So we'll have to substitute. We left it at the studio. Anyway, we never saw it. Anyway, let me get this going. Okay. I won't show you the actual placement of the squirrel in the blender, okay? You're gonna just to use your imagination. It's gonna be pretty chunky, don't you think? It's gonna be chunky. Well, it's a red squirrel. Okay, coming up, Christine. Look good? Not too bad, eh? I think the only problem is this straw might not be able to sustain. Oh, it's chunky, Christine. It's chunky. You want to taste it now or wait till dinner?
I'll wait, thanks.
Christine's decided to wait. Well, we'll take that out. We're serving. Christine is going to eat every sample of this cooking. When we're finished, we'll have an entire gastronomical feast here. So now we're going to move over to the wok. And it's going to be put on high. I'm going to have wok and mole. And I'm sure you haven't had that lately, but it's fantastic and it's very, very healthy. It's very low in cholesterol. As some of you know, you don't even have to use this. A lot of people use this because they think it's very, very healthy, and I agree, it is. But it's Vermont, so I use Bag Balm. It's good for what ails you, inside and out. So we'll just put a little bit of this in there. Oh, did you catch that? Just a little bit of Bag Balm. Works for me. Works in many situations, actually. Wonderful stuff. I keep it here on my cooking shelf over my Parmesan cheese because not only is it color coordinated, but it cooks up a dream. Sorry I didn't have this preheated for you, but that's okay. It's doing very, very well. Now, I'll get the vegetables. Be right back. Christine, are you getting hungry?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. Nothing quite like it. All right. Now, I've taken the liberty, actually, of preparing some moles. Not these little fellers, but I've got some already skinned and defurred. I made the mistake of cooking them with fur on once in the past, and it was not a good experience for me. It didn't smell nice, actually. So these are little mole steaks or mole cutlets, as it were. And you can see the texture. Not bad, not bad. We'll just throw that into the Bag Balm. How's that smell for you, Christine? Pretty good?
Yeah.
Not bad, eh? People are so surprised when they find out that roadkill tastes yummy. It smells nice, too. That Bag Balm, doesn't that add a certain je ne sais quoi? I think so, too. Oh, wait. Not very classy of me, is it? Here. I cut up these all by my little self. They're green peppers from Hannaford. Not bad. Alrighty. And it's stir fry, but you don't really have to stir it. I like to leave the meat on the bottom and let it get like raisins because it's very important that it cook right through. You don't know where these moles have been or how long they've been on the road when you find them. So it's nice to really cook them at a high heat. I always use red hot heat, and I cook them until they look like little raisins. Nobody complains. And I'm sorry I didn't save one of them to actually put on a cracker with Velveeta, because that would be a very nice thing for you too, Christine. You'd enjoy that. You like Velveeta too, don't you? It's a food group. Well, we'll just leave that over there for a little bit. And we'll move back over here, and we're going to start one more thing. We're doing well, Christine. See what Mr. Bush has to say.
It isn't the pollution that's harming our environment. It's the impurities in our water and air that are doing it.
Yeah, right. I agree with him. It's the first time I've ever agreed with him. The next thing that we're going to do is something that everyone likes, and that's we're going to bread and cook some red squirrel fillets. I just chopped up some crackers, like that. Just ordinary saltine crackers. Oh, Christine, would you mind going into that drawer and passing me a fork, please? This is the ever-prepared chef. I'm cracking an ordinary Vermont egg in my ordinary Vermont kitchen. Don't throw it at me, I'm a terrible catch. Oh yes, try. Woo. Anyway, there we go. Just whip up the egg, comme ça. It's not a very efficient kitchen, folks. Everybody else in East Berkshire has a great kitchen, though, I do assure you. I know people think I'm the norm, but I'm not quite. Did I forget the frying pan? Oh, there's the frying pan. Now, I'm not going to use bag balm for this. And I'll tell you why. When you saute something that has been breaded, it's always nice to use oil because it tastes greasier, and there's nothing better than rodents that taste greasy. But I have to heat this up really fast. Oh, this is done to a turn. That's one thing. I've never cooked a turn. Have you? No, neither has Christine. This is the potato that we can also use as a garnish, in case you're wondering what that's all about. This is the one that didn't make it into the cook pot, and I forgot it on the stove. But I think it's cute. Soft. All right, so we have that oil heat up, and I used olive oil because it's supposed to be very, very healthy. Now, to bread this little rascal. Okay, I'm going to put this over here, back over here, and we'll get some red squirrel. Now, red squirrel. You can't complain about red squirrel. And look at that. I don't know whether Christine can pick up those charming chunks of red squirrel. They give very nice roasts. Unbelievable. You would not expect a squirrel to be able to give this much, but they do. Let's put this over here. How many do you think you can eat? 5? Oh, I only have 4, Christine. It was a bad squirrel year. But I'm glad I prepared them before you got here, because otherwise I'd be skinning right now, and that's no fun. Okay. You think that's getting hot? Does that look red hot to you? Yes? Christine's an indispensable part of this team. Anyway, I dipped it in an ordinary Vermont egg. Observe. Then you dip it and squish it down in crackers. And you take it and you throw it in the red hot oil. And you just keep repeating that until you're out of squirrel stuff. I'm not using very many spices now, but I will add spices when there's partially cooked. We're cooking a feast for Christine. I ate before the show. I had a peanut butter sandwich. Yes, it's been one of those days. If there's no peanut butter in heaven, I'm not going. It's my favorite food, even though I do love all of this. Now, another healthy thing about red squirrel is that in this economy, with IBM laying off hundreds and hundreds of wonderful people, and with a lot of companies moving to New York, and you heard Mayor Dan Stewart when he was on my show. Mayor Dan Stewart of Plattsburgh was laughing, saying, oh, we've got 2 more companies from Vermont coming over to our state. Ha, 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 ha. Well, you know, violence is against the law, so... And I didn't have my gun. But you know, it's funny, I was kind of proud of him for being so proud of his own town. I think we could probably lure a lot of New York businesses over here if we had more affordable, better tax breaks for them, better tax breaks for businesses, and cheaper electricity. Okay, now the pièce de résistance. I think they're cooking really well. I lost my fork, Christine. Oh, there it is. Yes, I did get kicked out of home economics when I was in 8th grade. Now I'm showing them all. Christine, you're frowning. You want to taste now? Oh, this is delightful. Hang on. I can't mix flavors, right? Oh. 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 Ah. Hot, hot, hot. Aha. Hot. Very cheap, old. Now, I want you to look at that. Now, when we serve this to Christine later on in the show, won't that be a treat for you, Christine? Where's that smoke coming from? Oh, God. Lucky I don't have smoke detectors in this house. Don't tell my insurance agent. Now, I'll put that right back on the red heat because I'm sure we're going to use it later. So this is what we've prepared thus far. That stuff that's cooling off in the wok. We've prepared breaded red squirrel. And now we're going to prepare a different kind of red squirrel, but oh, the spicy, hot, spicy red squirrel. Does that suit your taste right now, or do you want to go right to the bat? The bat. Okay, I'll use the same frying pan. Look, check it out. You get it smoking really big time for a bat. And bats tend to have a flavor all of their own. So I'm not going to add any oil because bats are, well, there's no fat in bat. But you put in a little onion. You see that? It doesn't have to be fancily cut. You can do it the way I did. And you put that in a cast iron frying pan about this size. The problem with using a great big frying pan is that you lose the bat. I mean, the poor thing, it must be totally the opposite of claustrophobic when you drop it into a big frying pan. Okay. Anyway, you threw them in there. Did you catch that? It's the bat. You've heard of the cat in the hat. Well, this is the bat in the frying pan. Not much of a Dr. Seuss rhymer am I. Just show you how it works there. Oh, look! I don't know how I caught my stove on fire. Can you catch that? Now the wings are very tender. Very. So you don't want to cook it too long. Lying it on a bed of onions thusly, it steams and the flavor of the onions percolate through the entire bat. There's not really anything quite like it. You can serve it too, and what I like to do to make it a little more festive is to serve it, to serve it on if I had a whole bunch of these skewered, a whole bunch of bats, you can serve them a bat, a small tomato, some onion that you can squeeze onto that. That works very well, but I don't have all of the bats I need today for that, but that's just another idea. Okay, we're doing very well, Christine. I know we're rushing this show. It's an accelerated show this evening. Also, finding the exact wine to serve with these delicacies is a chore. You can just drink Vermont milk products with them if you don't want to go the vintner route. Oh, I forgot to add something. This is catnip, and I forgot to add it to the bat. Mind if I just sprinkle it on top? It's okay if it doesn't, the flavor doesn't go. Little catnip. And not only does it add to the flavor, there you go. It's the best brand on the market as far as catnip goes. It's very versatile. So this is shaping up to be a meal for our Christine. All righty. Okay, now, what did I say I was going to do next? Oh, I haven't done the birds yet. Oh, okay. Let's prepare the birds. Which came first, the bird or the egg? Well, I guess the egg did tonight. Put that over there. Okay. All right. Now, once again, we've prepared a bird to put in the oven. We put it in at 700 degrees for 4 hours. Or you can cook them in the microwave at high for 20 minutes. But I did that once and my kitchen caught on fire, so I wouldn't recommend it. Now, I want to tell you the difference between a fresh bird and one that's not. Pick up this tail. It's very firm. See? Very nice. I picked up this bird by the tail. This is a cowbird, we've just learned, and the tail feathers came out. So I'm not even going to think about using that. I'm disgusted with myself for picking it up. All right, now we take off the feathers and we soak the bird in a solution that causes it to puff up. And it does. It's a marinade. It soaks for 3 or 4 days, and it puffs up, and then we stuff it with whatever we feel like, whether it's vegetables or any kind of product. A whole squash can fit in one of these things after it's been puffed up. But for today's purposes, we've just prepared something to put in the oven at 700 degrees for 4 hours, like this. Okay? This is what it looks like. An ordinary roadkill bird after it's been properly fluffed and soaked. The marinade will come on after the show, the roadkill bird marinade to make it grow. It has no steroids in it, but it does work very well. Now, I'm not going to put that in the oven just yet because I have to remove the aluminum foil. Can you imagine? It causes the skin to fall off, but other than that, it puffs up beautifully. So, Christine, don't let me forget to cook that, okay? I might just forget to cook that. We only have one more recipe. Oh, silica gel. You want your drinks dry? You want your drink dry? Just add a little silica gel in there. Okay, that'll work. Silica gel, I wouldn't recommend everybody do this. You have to have a certain aptitude and a certain taste for it, but mixing that right in, it looks so good. There you go. I recommend that if people want dry martinis or whatever. This is a dry Roadkill's red squirrel swirl. All right, only one more thing left to cook. This has gone so quickly. Oh, and this is the wishbone that came out of that little bird. Okay. This is once again gray squirrel. I haven't cooked gray squirrel tonight, but I do have some. It looks a lot like red squirrel, only each morsel is bigger and tends to taste a little more gamey. And there's only one way to cook this particular kind of gray squirrel, and it's with as many spices as possible. So I'm just going to throw these in. Notice everything's always on red hot heat. And I'm not even going to use bag bomb because the spices themselves will really help. Now, this comes from two major squirrels that had been stalking our neighborhood for weeks. So finally my neighbor ran over them. And it took two passes, but he got them, and that tenderized the meat too. So gray squirrels, they're cute, you know, but they're tasty. And what I like to use is anything I can get in bulk. You wouldn't think that non-pareil capers would be any good, but they are. They add a certain flavor and texture to any kind of squirrel, but gray squirrel especially. Then we have Lee & Perrins Worcestershire sauce, because it's a tenderizer. And when they're killed on the road, sometimes the gravel embeds itself in the flesh. So if you think you're chewing gravel, it's not tasty, but if you get a caper in your mouth and you think it's all caper, it's cool. Here is garlic. I never measure anything I use because, especially garlic, it's really good for you. Or I kind of think you can't get enough garlic. It smells good too. And to add a little flavor, these are hot jalapeno slices. Okay? And they take the edge off the rest of the meal. I mean, everything you've seen me prepare here today is pretty Americano, right? Well, this is much better. You know, you see all the presidential candidates out there looking for the Hispanic vote. Well, all they have to do is eat a few red hot peppers in their gray squirrel and they'd be doing okay. But they don't let me run their campaigns. I wonder why. I've never had squirrel tartare. Have you, Christine? You have? Is it good? Christine says that red squirrel tartare, which is the ground up squirrel meat and not cooked, is absolutely excellent. I'm so glad to hear that. So maybe we can save on some electricity next time. It won't taste like that, will it? And there. Yes, very good. Anyway, that's getting to smell a bit cooked. Anyway, what we're going to do now, folks, this has been a very fast show, because we haven't got a lot of time. We have to go back to the studio and film people, and we want to make time for Christine to eat before we take off in 10 minutes. So we're going to shut off the camera, and you'll see Christine as she dines on this fine gastronomical fare. And I hope she likes it, and I hope you enjoy the recipes at home and try them all. There's nothing wrong with roadkill, nothing wrong with shooting something out of a tree. And I thank you very much for watching this part of the show. We'll see you at the dining room. Bye-bye.
Red squirrel wine?
Red squirrel wine, yeah, that's an excellent idea. It's very symbolic, isn't it? Voila. Taste.
Oh. Cheers.
Smell it. Maybe it'll drown out something that came out of the kitchen at the best, or what, eh? We'll come into your kitchen and we'll watch you cook and we'll eat your food and we'll film you. Thanks for watching Life is Good. Have a great night. Yay! I think